Very exciting new shoe from Salomon, the Ultra-Glide, releasing August 1st for $140. So it has a brand new platform for Salomon with a new kind of midsole for them, a softer, more energetic Energy Surge Olefin EVA blend. So it has a 32/26 stack height, 6 millimeter drop. It has an upper based on some of their road shoes, so it is somewhat roomier than what you might expect from Salomon. So I've taken them out for a first 8 mile run, and I was delighted. Here are some of the details. They fit me true to size, no question. Sometimes I'm on the border of sizing up in some of the older Salomon. Let's take a look at the Salomon Ultra-Glide. I think this shoe is super well named, as it's Salomon's new entry in the Ultra game. The Ultra part comes from its cushioning. It has a 32 millimeter heel, 26 millimeter forefoot stack of the brand new Energy Surge foam, which is a Dow Olefin EVA mix. We also see that foam in the Pulsar. This is a completely different riding and feeling foam than what you're used to from Salomon in, for example, Energy Cell or the OptiVibe, which was in the Sense Pro 4 and the Sense Ride. How is it different? Much softer, much more energetic. Yet the shoe remains very nicely stable. It has a full 4 millimeter lugs, full coverage of Contragrip, and a dual density. It's actually a dual density of the Energy Surge, with the top blue layer being somewhat firmer than the lower layer. I compared to the softer foam in the Pulsar, and it feels like it's exactly the same softness as the Pulsar, although the Pulsar has a very firm medial post for some support. Here, our foam is dual density with your firmer underfoot and then the softer below. Now, what that does on the run is essentially, when you also take the outsole into account, you've got a nice sandwich of firmer foam here and then softer foam. So the ride is very, very energetic. I took them out for an 8 mile run on some moderate and very moderate trails. We'll be doing much more testing. I'm going to be going to Utah. We hope we can get some more pairs. But it proved very nice both on light trails and road. There was a little bit more technical Rudy Rocky stuff. It did just fine there. Salomon calls out the upper as having their road shoe last. And yes, even though when I first tried them on, they felt quite snug, sort of the normal Salomon, as I got going, I immediately noticed a big difference in the volume, particularly right here at the end of the lacing at the ball of the foot. The mesh is very soft, much, much softer, and kind of more pliable than, for example, the mesh in the Sense Pro here. I don't have my Sense Rides 3, but as I remember that one, it also had a very kind of denser mesh. So you can see, of course, we got the quick lace. The volume is through here. There's plenty of toe box room. It's not ultra topo wide, but there's plenty. The heel collars are well padded, but not overly plush. A particular note, and really in comparison, look at our underfoot platform, say, compared to the Pulsar. Yes, I said the foam was about the same firmness at the heel, but having a much wider platform here makes all the difference. As we also have the R-camber type rocker. In the Pulsar, you really have to be off that narrow heel and get on the forefoot, where there's some profile protection, a little bit of kind of propulsion. Whereas here, my slower paces were super smooth and well accommodated. There is some rock protection. It isn't the full kind of pro feel. What Salomon did is co-molded a firmer foam in here. There's a lot of nice trail feel. I would say the protection isn't quite up to the level of the Sense Ride 3 or 4, which I think really is more sort of your more mountainous terrain option from Salomon. So far, that's what I'm feeling. I'm going to be running quite a bit more. Now, the foam itself, to give you some comparisons, in our Sense Pro, we had the OptiVibe system. Yes, it's also an olefin EVA blend, but it is far, far firmer to pressing. It's kind of hard to see, but here all layers are much, considerably softer than what was in the Sense Pro or the Sense Ride. And the effect is that with both the Sense Ride and the Sense Pro, you have kind of a dense, protected kind of stiff feel. Whereas here, you have a very smooth, flowing, softer feel. The energy surge here has a higher proportion of olefin than in those other two. So that gives it a really wonderful sense of energy, quote, return. So even on firmer surfaces, like some pavement I was on, you definitely feel a nice rebound. Now, this isn't the kind of rebound you experience with a bouncy foam, such as a TPU. It's much more deliberate and measured, and I think kind of more effective. You don't feel any sinking, soft, kind of mushy feeling whatsoever here. It does feel somewhat like the More Trail from New Balance, but with a kind of a snappier return to that bounce. Now, the stability was excellent, particularly at the heel with that broad platform. I don't think Salomon's ever had a platform that wide. I personally don't have a pair of the S-Lab Ultra 2 or 3 anymore. I did test the 2. And as I remember it, it had lots of kind of dense front protection from the PU insert. Here you may have a bit less, but you have more feel, and you also have really nice flexibility already. 1 8-mile run in. You can see how the upper bends at that wider ball of the foot of the upper, and that gives it, I think, the nice volume that I was experiencing. Much more volume, I think, than any Salomon trail shoe I've experienced. I do have a bit of concern how they will, the upper in particular, will perform with the softer midsole and highly technical terrain, but for smooth running, for ultra purposes, just about right. Now let's talk a bit more about the upper. So the upper is a debris mesh, and you can see it's soft, the toe bumpers, and all this randing, which is the layers that are near the bottom of the upper, protective. It does have the wings, but internal, these tabs on both sides. But as you'll see over here, they end quite quickly, and we see many underlays to go with those outer overlays to provide really kind of a skeleton around the foot. We do have a gusseted tongue as before. The tongue itself is nicely, kind of firmly padded, but well padded. We have that protection for the quick laces over the foot. I had no issues whatsoever with that. The heel counter is not totally stiff, but very well held. The width of the platform is really a big part of what's going on here. With the lighter energy surge foam, now Salomon at 10 ounces or 283 grams, more or less, in a US 9, can provide a wider platform and a higher platform because we're at 32.26. And we can compare. I don't have my Sense Ride 3 here, but if you look at the Pro, how much wider we are, and of course we are much wider than the Pulsar with a similar foam at the heel. You can also see how the outsole of the Pulsar is much lower profile. Here we have about 4.5 millimeter lugs. They appear pretty much the same in depth as our Sense Pro, maybe a touch lower, but not much. So this is an all-purpose outsole. So to summarize here, what has Salomon delivered here? Well, they've delivered their first softer, more energetic, ultra type shoe with this new Energy Surge foam. The foam is well named in my first run in terms of energy and surge, as there's a noted rebound from it, an energy quote return that I haven't seen in a Salomon or really very many other trail shoes. Some that might come to mind are the Fresh Foam More Trail from New Balance, but here you have a much more stable all trails package. The return is you feel the sinking down, but then you feel a quick rebound. So it's not a bouncy kind of feel, it's more a sharper return, which keeps it from being too mushy. Of course, our sandwich of somewhat firmer Energy Surge and the outsole contribute to that return, along with, of course, the foam itself. So as a trail shoe, I'm going to say this is a very versatile package from Salomon. It certainly can do door to trail. It can do most all trails. I still think probably the S-Lab Ultra and the Sense Ride are maybe a bit better choice if you're on highly technical terrain. But if the distance is long and you want some cush, or you want both, this is a great new option from Salomon that really kind of shakes up not only their line but the trail shoe world, as at 10 ounces 283 grams in a US 9 with that 32-26 stack height. This is quite a lot of shoe, especially when you figure in all that outsole coverage and this very supportive upper. So tribute to the Energy Surge there for helping us with the weight. And for those that have had struggled with Salomon's fit, this new road shoe based upper and the pliable mesh and the implementation of the overlays should allow many more people to enjoy this shoe. So we're going to be doing more testing. I'm going to be out in Utah. I'm going to do probably another video out there, but also we're going to have a written review. We hope to get more pairs from Salomon so more of my colleagues can get in on the fun. But the Salomon Ultra-Glide, super well named, I think, with not only ultra capabilities, but that R-camber rocker really gives you a gliding, smooth flow at just about any pace, over just about any terrain. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you subscribe to our channel and visit our website at roadtrailrun.com for hundreds of multi-tester reviews of all kinds of great running gear.